This is the Canadian Pacific Railway's Laggan Subdivision. The name Laggan comes from the former station name of Lake Louise, Alberta. The Laggan Sub is famous for being one of the most scenic stretches of railway in Canada, and one of the most treacherous. On its eastern approach, it's hard to tell as GEVO 12 prime movers echo through the gentle valleys of the slope of the Rockies. I've visited the Laggan Sub several times in the last few years, and I want to show you a bit of this extraordinary railway. For most Albertans, especially rail fans, this scenery is taken for granted as it's essentially in our own backyard. This small segment of the Canadian Transcontinental Railway is possibly one of CP's busiest and most congested, with long segments of single track representing a major bottleneck in the system. Even if you aren't a rail fan, it's hard to visit Banff National Park without seeing a train at least once. The highlight of this footage is a recent chase of the CPKC holiday train in December of 2024. CP runs this festive consist across its network in Canada and the US, delivering money and donations to local food banks during the holiday season, alongside some musical entertainment. The Canadian Pacific Railway has been doing this since 1999. What a lot of people don't know is the consist on this train is entirely CP equipment, while CP's other heritage trains, such as the Royal Canadian Pacific, might be a mishmash of SP, CN, and other equipment, all painted in CP's Tuscan red. The holiday train is all CP down to its passenger cars. Perhaps most underrated on the train is CP number 84, named Banffshire, originally a 14-section sleeper car built in 1926. Once the Laggan Sub enters the Rocky Mountains, it passes right through the center of the communities of Canmore and Banff. Despite Banff and Lake Louise being international icons of Canadian tourism, both are railway towns and owe their existence to the CPR. What became known as Morant's Curve is possibly the most iconic shot on the Laggan Sub. Named after the CPR photographer Nicholas Morant, this viewpoint is a favorite among tourists and rail fans alike, as the Laggan Sub meanders at water level along the Bow River. What's perhaps a hidden gem on the Laggan Sub is the crossing of O'Hara Park Road at the signal named Stephen. This S-curve in both directions is typically far less congested with tourists than the famous Morant's Curve, and on a clear day offers great backdrops of Mount Bosworth and Paget Peak to the north, located almost directly on the Continental Divide.
Notice for the crew, and full time 12:37.
But it's west of Lake Louise where the CPR found its greatest obstacle. To traverse what became known as the Big Hill, the CPR built the spiral tunnels, where crews descend into the Kicking Horse Pass at a treacherous 2.2% grade. Before the realignment, the grade on the Big Hill was a nearly impassable 4.5%. The Laggan Subdivision ends in the hamlet of Field, BC. Field was once a servicing point for helper locomotives on the Big Hill and still serves as a crew change point in the modern day.
Good for 10, taking.
That guy
With
there.
you, good for 10, here I go through.
From Field, the Laggan Sub gives way to the CP Mountain Subdivision, carrying trains west to Golden, BC, onto Revelstoke, and eventually to Vancouver.
Going all aboard, back to you, doesn't want you to. Truck does, you said? Yeah, it doesn't want you to. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. That'll be done.
I think that personally what keeps me coming back to this place is not just the history and the challenge that trains and their crews face here every day. It's the strange contrast between horsepower and industry backdrop by sheer natural beauty. A place that's so remote and so rugged that it's a struggle every day to traverse it. And yet it's a necessity. The Transcontinental Railway and the Trans-Canada Highway run through this narrow pass, cutting their way through terrain so rough it's almost hard to comprehend the scale of all of it. The Laggan Subdivision stands as a monument to mankind's ongoing struggle with the forces of nature, where a battle is fought every day, not with swords or bombs, but with horsepower, sand, and steel, where natural beauty faces an uneasy coexistence with human determination. And I think about this, and it's hard not to find it fascinating.